You ever walk past an empty storefront and just picture your own shop right there? Well, that dream, it lives or dies by one single thing, a really solid retail business plan. So today, we're going to break down the exact blueprint you need to turn that idea into a real successful store. Let's get right into it.
I mean, think about it. Whether you're dreaming of a cool clothing boutique, a cozy little bookstore, or maybe a shop full of unique gadgets, whatever it is, the path always starts with a plan. So let's talk about why that plan isn't just important, it's absolutely crucial.
You know, it's like this. You would never, ever build a house without a blueprint, right? Well, a business plan is exactly that for your store. It is the foundational map that makes sure the thing you build isn't just designed to stand up, but it's designed to actually grow.
All right, so let's start right there, with that foundation. We're calling it the retail blueprint for a reason. Just like in construction, your plan is the solid ground that everything else gets built on top of. If you get this part right, you're really setting yourself up for success from day one.
Okay, so the foundation is poured. Now it's time to actually build the structure. And in the retail world, that structure has two really critical sides. You've got your internal team, the people who make it all happen, and then you have your external customers who are, the reason you're doing any of this in the first place.
So, when you look at the internal engine of a retail business, it's actually pretty straightforward. You've got the CEO up at the top, of course, but then it really splits into two main powerhouses. First, there's operations. That's everything that makes the store run day to day. And then you have merchandising, which is all about the stuff you actually sell. And, naturally, you've got support functions like IT, HR, and finance backing them up. That right there, that's your core team.
Okay, so your internal team is defined, the engine is ready to hum, but hang on. Who is all this for? Who are you actually serving with all this hard work?
This, right here. This is arguably the most important piece of the entire puzzle. I'm serious. Before you choose a single product, before you pick a location, before you even think about a name for your store, you absolutely, positively must know your customer. It is the golden, non-negotiable rule of retail, period.
So how do you actually get to know them? Well, you start with the basics, the hard data, what we call demographics. You need to build a super clear profile. Ask yourself, how old are they? What's their gender? What's their income? Where do they live? Every single one of these data points is a piece of the puzzle that helps you see the bigger picture.
But here's the thing. Demographics only tell you part of the story. The real magic, the secret sauce, happens when you dig deeper and ask these three questions. This is where you move beyond just who they are and start to understand why they buy. And believe me, understanding their motivations and their behaviors, that's what's going to shape your entire business.
All right, so you know your customer. Awesome. Now, how do you actually make money? That brings us to the numbers. And if the business plan is our blueprint, then you can think of the financials as the plumbing. We're going to follow the flow of every dollar to see what keeps a business healthy.
So what you're seeing here is a profit and loss statement, or what we call a P&L. Think of it as your financial scorecard. Right up at the very top, you see sales. That's all the money coming in the door. Now follow it all the way down to the bottom line. Store profit. That's what's left over after you pay for absolutely everything else. That, my friends, is the number that really matters. Now, there's a really crucial term you need to know here. Gross margin. This isn't your final profit, but it is incredibly important. Basically, it's the money you make on your products before you pay for things like rent or salaries. It tells you exactly how profitable your merchandise itself actually is. And this is where a P&L gets really powerful, because you can compare performance over time. So for example, sales went up from $950,000 to $1 million. That's pretty good. But what's really impressive is that the store profit nearly doubled. This scorecard tells you exactly where you're winning and why.
Okay, so tracking what's already happened is great, but a truly great plan also looks forward. It's about trying to predict what will happen, and that's where forecasting comes in. It's really the art of making smart, educated guesses about the future so you can be ready for it.
And you've got a few different tools in your toolbox for this. First, there's something called the Delphi method, which is basically a fancy way of saying you get opinions from a bunch of experts. Then you can look at your own customer purchase trends, using your own past data to predict the future. You can also use a benchmark like sales per square foot to compare yourself to other similar stores. And of course, these days, you can use powerful tools like artificial intelligence to crunch massive amounts of data and find patterns.
Okay, let's circle back to our house analogy for a minute. If the plan is the blueprint and the financials are the plumbing, then what's the merchandise? Well, that's all the furniture, the decor. It's the stuff that actually makes the house a home. And managing it is definitely both an art and a science.
So managing that inventory effectively really boils down to hitting these 5 key goals. You need to have the right amount of product. You've got to get the right payment terms from your suppliers. You need it to show up at the right time, and this is crucial, you have to sell it this season while it's still fresh to get the absolute best return on that investment.
So how do you measure how well you're doing? Well, one of the most important metrics is called inventory turns. Put simply, this number tells you how fast your stuff is selling. A higher number is good. It means your inventory isn't just sitting on the shelves collecting dust, it's actively turning into cash for your business.
And the math behind it is actually super simple. Let's say you do $12 million in sales for the year, and on average you have about $3 million worth of inventory in stock. You just divide the sales by the inventory, and boom, you get 4. That means you're turning your inventory 4 times per year. See? Simple.
All right, now for the big one, GMROI. I know it looks intimidating, but don't let the acronym fool you. The idea is actually really simple. It answers one single, critical question. For every dollar I invest in inventory, how much gross margin profit do I get back? It's really the ultimate way to measure how hard your inventory investment is working for you.
So, after all those metrics and scary acronyms, what's the big takeaway? It's really just this. Successful inventory management is a constant balancing act. It's a dance. You need to have enough product on hand to meet demand, but not so much that it just sits there and ends up costing you money.
All right, let's zoom out and bring all these different pieces together. We've talked about the foundation, the team, the customer, the money, and the merchandise. Now let's see how they all lock into place to create your complete plan for success.
And here it is, your final retail blueprint checklist. A solid plan does 4 things. It defines your team structure. It gets laser-focused on your customer profile. It helps you master the financials using your P&L, and it lets you build a smart, profitable merchandise strategy. You nail these 4 things, and you've got the pillars for your future retail empire.
So there you have it. The blueprint is in your hands. Now the only question left is probably the most exciting one of all. What are you going to build first?